Hi everyone, welcome this Packet Tracer implement basic connectivity. Before we start with this activity, need to read a little bit about this topic. Basic switch configuration. Basic switch configuration steps. The Cisco switch only need to be assigned basic security information before being connected to the network. Elements that are usually configured on a LAN switch include host name, management IP address information, password, and descriptive information. The switch host name is the configured name of the device. Just like each computer on printer is assigned a name, networking equipment shall be configured with a descriptive name. It's helpful if the device name includes the location where the switch will be installed. An example may be this. A management IP address is only necessary if you plan to configure and manage the switch through an in-band connection on the network. A management address enables you to reach the device through Telnet, Security Shell, or HTTP clients. The IP address information that must be configured on a switch is essentially the same as you configure on your PC: IP address, subnet mask, and default gateway. In order to secure a Cisco LAN switch, it's necessary to configure password on each of the various methods of access to the command line. The minimum requirements include a sync password to remote access method such as Telnet, Security Shell, and the console connection. You must also sync a password to the privilege mode in which configuration changes can be made. Note: Telnet sends the username and password in plain text, and is not considered secure. Security Shell encrypts the username and password and is therefore a more secure method. Select each tab for more information. The first tab is Configuration Task. Before configuring a switch, review the following initial switch configuration task. Configure the device name, check your user exec mode, check your remote telnet security shell access, check your privilege exec mode, check your alt passwords in the config file, provide legal notification, configure the management switch virtual 1, and save the configuration. The next tab is sample switch configuration with this command, and the next point, switch virtual interface configuration. To access the switch remotely, an IP address and subnet mask must be configured in the switch virtual interface (SVI). To configure an SVI on a switch, use the interface VLAN1 global configuration command. VLAN1 is not an actual physical interface, but a virtual one. Next, assign an IPv4 address using the IP address interface configuration command. Finally, enable the virtual interface using the no shutdown interface configuration command. After the switch is configured with these commands, the switch has all the IPv4 elements ready for communication over the local network. Now, similar to Windows host, switch configured with an IPv4 address will typically also need to have a default gateway assigned. This can be done using the IP default gateway IP address global configuration command. The IP address parameter will be the IPv4 address of the local router on the network, as shown in the example. However, in this topic, you will only be configuring a network with switch and host. Routers will be configured later, only with this command. Configure terminal interface VLAN1, assign the IP address and subnet mask, no shutdown and exit, and add the IP default gateway. Okay, go to the activity. Packet Tracer implement basic connectivity, addressing table. Switch 1, switch 2, PC1, PC2. Objectives. Okay. Mm, well, Part 1, perform a basic configuration on switch 1 and switch 2. Part 2, configure the PCs Part 3. Configure the switch management interface. Background: in this activity, you will first perform basic switch configuration. Then, you will implement basic connectivity by configuring IP address on the switch and PCs. When the IP address configuration is complete, you will use various show commands to verify configuration and use the ping command to verify basic connectivity between devices. Instruction Part 1. Perform switch virtual interface configuration on switch 1 and switch 2. Step 1. Configuration switch 1 with a host name. Click switch 1 and then click the CLI tab. Switch 1 and CLI tab. Enter the privileged exec mode, then enter the global configuration mode. With this step, the first command is enable, the next command is configure terminal. Okay, configure the hostname as S1. Hostname with the command hostname and is1 S1. Okay. Step 2. Configure switch 1 with an IP address. Switch can be used without any configuration. Switch forward information from one port to another based on media access control MAC address. Why does a switch need an IP address? In the global configuration mode, enter the following command to configure switch 1 with an IP address in VLAN 1. Okay, this is very important to understand. Switch can be used without any configuration. Switch forward information from one port to another based on media access control MAC address. Why does a switch need an IP address? In the global configuration mode, enter the following command to configure switch 1 with an IP address in virtual LAN 1. Okay. Hostname and enter the command interface VLAN 1 and enter the command IP address and the address 192.168.1.253 and the subnet mask 255.255.255.0 and the command not shut down. What does the not shut down command? This command enable the virtual LAN 1. Okay, wait a second. Exit the configuration mode and save the configuration. Okay, enter the command and okay. Configure from console by console and enter the command copy running config and start config. Destination file name startup config and enter OK. Item C verify the IP address configuration on switch 1 and we need enter the command show IP interface brief. Okay, show IP interface Okay. Okay, this is our virtual LAN 1 interface with this IP address. Manual, protocol up, status up. Okay, well. And configure switch 2 with the host name and IP address. Close this window and go to step 3. Configure switch 2 with the host name and IP address. In this step, you will configure switch 2 with the host name and IP address. Click switch 2 in the CLI tab, enter the global config mode. Okay, enter CLI and config. Enable is the first command. Next, config terminal. Okay, configure the switch 2 with the hostname using the information according to the addressing table. Okay, with the addressing table, the host name is S2. Okay, host name is 2. Okay, click IP configuration in the addressing table above. You can see that the IP address for PC1 is supposed to be 192.178.1.1 and the subnet mask. Enter this information for PC1 in the IP configuration window. Okay, now this is my... Okay. Configure the switch 2 with a hostname using the information according to the addressing table. Use the information in the addressing table. Repeat the same process to configure the switch 2 and IP address. Okay, hostname. The next process is virtual interface. Okay, I review this step. Interface VLAN 1. Okay, enter the command interface VLAN 1 and enter the IP address for switch 2 192.178 1.2.54 and subnet mask is the same. Okay, yes. The next step is activate the virtual LAN with the command no shutdown. And view this, end, the command end. And copy running config and startup config. And okay. And only we need view the Shopee interface brief. Okay, here is my VLAN for switch 2. Okay, step 2, test connectivity from the PCs. Click PC1, close the IP configuration window if it's still open in the desktop tab. Click command prompt. Okay, desktop and command prompt. Enter pin command and the IP address for switch 1, P192. Sorry, with the command pin 192.178.1.253. Okay. Okay, uh, again, this is the next step. Part 2, configure the PCs. In this part, sorry, you will configure PC1 and PC2 with IP address and verify network connectivity. Step 1, configure both PCs with IP address. Click PC1 and then click the desktop tab and click IP configuration. In the IP in the addressing table above, you can see that the IP address for PC1 is supposed to be 192.178.1.1 and subnet mask. Okay, repeat the previous step for PC2. Use the IP address list in the address table for PC2. Okay, and close and enter desktop IP configuration and enter the IP before address for PC2 is this. And subnet mask and close. Okay. And step 2, test connectivity from the PCs. Click PC1, close the IP configuration window if it's still open in the desktop tab. Click command prompt and ping to the switch 1. Okay. Okay, I have connectivity from PC1 to switch 1. Ping statistics for 192.178.1.253. Packet sent 4, packet received 3, lost 1, 25% lost. Okay, and okay. Here, were you successful? Explain. And from PC1, ping switch 2 and PC2. Okay. pin 254 for switch 2. Okay, I have connectivity with switch 2 and pin for PC2 with the IP address. Okay, okay. In the case of the PC2, I have four packets and received four and lost 0% lost. Okay, here say all pins should be successful. If your first pin result is 80% retry, it should not be 100%. You will learn why a pin may fail this first time later in your studies. If you are unable to ping any of the devices, check your configuration for errors. Okay, again with this switch 1. Okay, I have 100% of the packet received. With switch 2, I have 100% of packets received. And step 3, verify network connectivity from the switch. Network connectivity can be verified using the ping command. It's very important that connectivity exists throughout the network. From switch 1, ping the other device in the network. The ping to PC1 is displayed below as an example. Okay, from switch 1 and enable mode and enter the command ping 192, 178, sorry. Okay, again. Okay, okay. Okay, enter the command ping 192, 178, 1.1. Type escape sequence to abort, sending 5. Success rate is 100%. Okay, go to ping the switch 2. Okay, and switch and ping PC2. Again with switch 2. Okay, I have success rate is 100% and again with PC2. Okay, I have 100% of successful rate. And okay, from switch to ping the other devices in the network. All ping should be successful if your first ping result is 80% retry and should not be 100%. You will learn why a ping may fail the first time later in your studies. If you are unable to ping any of the devices, check your configuration for errors. Okay, and only for finish with this activity, I ping 192, 178, 1.253 with switch 1. Go to ping the PC1 and go to ping PC2. Again, okay. Well, this is all for this. I hope is very good or useful for you and see you in the next one. Bye.